Good morning to you and congratulations. You are now a resident of the world's most locked down city. How does it feel?
Not great, I've got to tell you, Pete. Not great. It's a pretty unenviable record, not one that you'd ever thought would have happened at the start of this pandemic. And Melbourne is a pretty dispirited, divided, grim place at the moment. With not a lot of hope on the horizon, and probably another month or so at least of lockdown to come. Not a great place to be.
And how far-reaching, I mean, as a whole, are the economic consequences of that lockdown? And I mean, it's mental health. It's a broad range of things. So it's understandable that psychologically, people in Melbourne might feel battered and bruised.
Well, they do, Pete. People feel very put down upon at the moment. As I said, dispirited. The economic consequences are enormous. Now, we've had the construction industry shut down at very short notice. That's billions of dollars a week, and any government support is not going to touch the sides for construction companies and the losses that they're making. And they need certainty as quickly as possible that they can reopen in about 10 days from now.
What do you make of the protests? What did you make of the protests and the reasons for it, being that they didn't want the mandate?
Well, I think there's a whole lot of reasons for it, Pete. With the world's longest lockdown, more to come, shutdown of construction. I've got friends who live in the CBD who equate it to living in a ghetto in a war zone, so empty is the city. And lack of school education. Look, it started out as a complaint, I think, over the construction shutdown, and then it's sort of, in the end, the dam wall broke, and there's a whole lot of reasons for it. You've got the anti-vaxxers, you've got the pro-choicers, you've got the over-lockdowns, you've got the opposed to lockdowns altogether, you've got the construction sector upset. It's been coming for a while, unfortunately, in Melbourne, and look, we just want to get to the other side of this as quickly as possible. You mentioned mental health. We did a session yesterday at my organisation with John Brogden from Lifeline around the mental health impacts of these shutdowns, and they are enormous. And businesses are feeling that every day because that's where mental health plays out, is in workplaces. So look, there is just enormous tension across Melbourne at the moment, enormous disappointment too, and a hell of a lot of stress. So we need some certainty on how we get to the other side.
When it comes to travel, the Prime Minister spoke about this in his press conference a little bit earlier. It's his hope that people will be able to travel in internationally and leave by the end of the year in Australia. Question marks over interstate travel at the moment too. Once we hit those vaccination levels, what's your view on that? And the Prime Minister made an interesting point too about the Barmy Army. I mean, we've got the Ashes coming up. The English cricketers, are they going to be able to come in? Can the Barmy Army come in? And if they are, how far are they going to be able to travel if there are interstate borders closed?
Well, if there's interstate borders closed, they'll be like everyone else. They won't be able to travel interstate, so they might come into Sydney and then just get stuck there. The reality is that there are a lot more important people than the Barmy Army to get in and out of the country quickly. People are desperate to see families. Business people are desperate to get overseas to meet their customers and get back to business, basically. They've been locked up for 18 months. I put the Barmy Army down near the bottom of the queue, unfortunately for them. There's a lot more important things that we have to do, but we need to get the domestic borders open. The fact that you theoretically could fly from Sydney to the UK before you could get from Sydney to Perth is just preposterous. And, we just need the state premiers to get together.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on the Barmy Army. It was just an interesting situation that kind of emerged. And, I mean, Australians are not going to be too fussed about the English supporters here anyway. But, I mean, the point is travel and people may well be stuck. But anyway, we'll have to see how that goes. Ines, did you feel the earthquake yesterday? What was your experience?
Pete, I was 30 seconds from coming on to talk to Laura on Sky yesterday when the earthquake hit, and I told your producer there'd been an earthquake through Melbourne. I don't think they believed me. I've been through them in LA. You probably have been too. And it was up there with the worst of them. It was pretty wild. At our office, I had a report done. We had things knocked off walls and things falling all over the place. So I'm not there, of course, but it was pretty wild and totally unexpected. It was the last thing Melbourne needed. The locusts are coming next, I suppose.